Did you lose at Plinko yesterday or something?
All right, everybody. Hello. Good day. Welcome to Content Painting Studios. We are Jake and Patrick. We are doing the BlindSided podcast. And today we have a special guest named Marcus Cardwell. As always, if you like what you've heard before, please rate us or give us reviews or feedback and comments on our stuff. We'd love to hear from you.
And be honest, if it's, like I don't want to be we don't want to be with those people who are like, yeah, give us a 5-star review. It'd be great. Like, be honest.
Let us know what's up.
Yeah. I'm a complete egomaniac.
I've been telling our other podcast people, even the guests, to just go to iTunes and pretend like it's Yelp and tell us what you actually thought about the show, as if like you were trying to order food or anything.
It's cold.
Right.
It took an hour to get here.
Right.
It's cold.
Our waiter wouldn't stop asking us questions.
And that's Travis, our lovely producer.
Hey, yo.
Yeah, creepy as hell. Anyway, so today we have a special topic for you. We're going to talk about being born blind versus losing your sight later on in life. So we've got Patrick, my co-host.
Top of the podcast to you.
Yes. Anyway. Patrick was born totally blind. So he's never seen. He doesn't know what it's like. And Marcus here, our guest, has lost his sight later on as he's gone on through life.
I'm the visiting team.
Yeah,
Yes.
something like that.
Patrick's the home team. This is going to be arm wrestling.
It's like a high school football game all over again. Right.
Yes.
So first, before we start, though, Marcus, how about you tell us about yourself, kind of what you do? You do a lot of things around town, musically especially. So kind of talk about, give us kind of your backstory and kind of how you got here and what you do here and what you do now. Oh, the lowdown.
Well, I am 45. I am from East Texas. I
He
got
looks
to Austin.
65.
I got to Austin when I was a kid. Attended the School for the Blind because I was visually impaired. Went away to study music.
Awesome.
Went on the road, did some crazy music stuff, the kind of stuff that you read books about.
Wow.
And came back to Austin amongst the eye trouble. And it was when that happened, I thought Austin is the place that I need to be. So came back here to kind of adjust and cope at first, but then was like, I think I need to stay here. This place is pretty cool.
Did you have some sight when you came back, or was it all gone?
It was on its way out.
Okay.
Yeah, so when I first came back, I was in kind of a bad way, and then ended up making it good.
Well, why don't you give us one of your awesome music stories that you read about in books? Tell us one.
Yeah.
Awesome music stories that you read about in books.
That you mentioned, yeah.
There's tons of them, but I can tell you once me and a couple of members of the band, or me and one of the members of the band, had left to go score some weed. Is this okay?
That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, we went to go score some weed, and then on the way back, it's raining, and we're driving through the bad section of town, and my friend says, hey, there's a Lincoln following us, man. So he steps on the gas and starts trying to lose this tail, and it turns out to be a cop. So the cop pulls us over, and I've got a huge bag of weed in my shoe, and like the cop comes up, and she's a black woman, and she's pretty stern with us. She's like, what are you doing around here?
Queen Latifah?
No, not as cool as that. But she was like, what are you doing in this area of the neighborhood? And he's like, I'm going to my girlfriend's house. And she's like, your girlfriends live in Southside Projects? We're like, yeah. So she says, well, get out of here. She doesn't have time to deal with, us, right? So we pull out and are about to make a left turn, and we hear this whoop, whoop. And she's like, you're in the wrong lane. You're in the left lane. So we're like, he was in the wrong way. He was going the wrong way. So we leave there, drop acid, and then go over to hang out with these chicks, and we're downstairs in their house while their parents are upstairs asleep, and we're on acid. And this is what you read about in books. Did I have like this awesome orgy with these two crazy chicks? No, I ended up having a conversation with a puppy, like a little puppy, little 6-week-old puppy.
Can we scrap this guest and get a new one?
You didn't have the orgy with the puppy, so I think you're good to go.
No, I didn't have the orgy with the puppy. I had a conversation.
Meanwhile, what
it could be worse.
So wait, did the cops show up and hang out with you guys?
Yeah.
No,
That asshole.
no, we left them behind. That was only that one crazy cop.
This is bullshit. Anyway, so what was the band you were in at the time?
It was called Midnight Rain. It was a jam / blues / hippie kind of Grateful Deadish band that it was together when, Fish and Blues Traveler and all those jam bands were becoming popular. If we had stayed with that band, we'd be right in that circle, I think. But we were really young and really stupid. And
Still stupid.
we didn't know what the hell we were doing. So that's why we didn't stay together as a band.
Well, tell us about some of the bands that you're in now. You're in a lot of projects, I know.
Yes, I play with a wedding band, corporate function band called Argyles that's been around since the 80s. I play with a jazz fusion funk band called Dr. Darkness.
Cool.
I play with Blue Mist occasionally that you guys may have mentioned on this podcast. I don't know.
I think we have actually, yeah. at some
I
point.
play with Akeen Adderley and the Vintage Playboys. I play with C.J. Edwards and the Funk Fellowship. Mostly saxophone, a little bass,
Nice.
whatever people are going to pay me to play, I'll play. And
Yeah, actually, so it's funny because we were mentioning, Patrick, we talked with Karen last week, or the last podcast, and we mentioned his brother Owen. And actually, Marcus plays in Dr. Darkness, and one of the guys from that band knows of Owen from Opposite Day now. He's
Nice.
a drummer for Opposite Day, which is awesome. So I guess the jazz community is a bit small,
where do I know Opposite Day from? I think my buddy Travis. Does Owen, did you say he plays drums?
Owen plays drums for them now.
Okay, my buddy Travis used to play drums for Opposite Day.
Mhm.
I think that's the name.
Is there just 80,000 people in this town named Travis? That's a really popular.
Yeah,
Okay.
too many Travises.
Ha, Travis.
Yes.
Travis, change your name.
Well,
Yeah, and go.
Let me tell you something, Travis. You're cooler than my buddy Travis.
Oh, there you go.
And if he hears me say that,
You might die.
maybe we'll get he won't.
Oh.
Yeah, we'll get more ratings.
Nice.
Yeah,
Okay, so basically virtually sax and bass sometimes too, correct?
sax bass. Yes.
Okay, cool.
And occasionally, I do the Broadway musical thing for the Adderley School once a year. So that's how I get my bassoon and clarinet and all that, stuffy stuff.
What is the Adderley School?
The Adderley School is an after-school Broadway immersion program that started in Santa Barbara, California with Akina's mother, Janet Adderley. And she brought it to Austin. So now we do have an Adderley School in Austin.
I was wondering if it was related to Cannonball Adderley with the saxophone
Yes,
type thing, but yeah,
it is.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, just checking.
Great.
Mhm.
Very cool. All right. Well, we'll kind of ask in the end, but see how we can kind of find you and get a hold of you if people want to find out where your shows are.
Sure.
Maybe you've got a Facebook page or a website, but we'll definitely
Or so that cop can track you down and finally bust you for the shit you just admitted to.
For 27 years ago.
Yes.
We got him, boys.
She's listening. I'm
the,
no she
the
is.
person not as cool as Queen Latifah.
Right.
She gonna beat your ass if she finds you. Anyway, okay, so let's talk about blindness a little bit. Let's talk about.
I don't see what you're talking about.
Of course you don't.
Yeah.
So Marcus, so when did you lose your sight, or when was it all gone?
Well, my functional vision was gone between the ages of 23 and 25.
Can we describe functional vision for people out there?
Functional vision means vision that you can use to substitute for your hands. So being able to see a clock on the wall, being able to read a restaurant at a menu, being able to walk without a cane, being able to see how full a jar is when you're filling it up, just things that you use your vision for. That's functional vision.
Like reading a label or like
yes, as opposed to your vision just being some cool trippy colors that you can see in your eyes. Because for the last, year that I had vision, that was pretty much what it was. My vision didn't serve me any purpose except me being able to say, well, I can still see red and green a little bit. It wasn't functional. That's what I mean.
And Patrick, for you, like,
I have what's called LCA, Leber's congenital amaurosis. I remember Googling it at one point, and I think they made me do a project on it in school. I really don't know. It's something about like the rods or the cones in your eyes. Basically, your retina's just fucked to shit. I think that's the proper medical terminology. I also have fucked to shititis.
I think I know somebody who has that. Actually,
yes.
Besides you.
Yes. So
it goes to the brain sometimes too.
Yeah. Well, it's debatable whether that. Yeah, I'm sure that happened to me too. As far as I have never had functional vision. I can see light as far as the brightness of it. Like I can't see shapes or colors in it. Like if the lights turn off, that's it. If the sun blows up, I'll be panicking and drinking for 8 minutes like everyone else. That's really all I got. So yes, the only time my vision is ever functional is if like there's like a big truck in front of me and it's about like a foot. And that's usually, it just like blocks out like truck, bam. So I still fucking run into it because I'm not paying attention to life.
That the sun has blown up, you won't have 8 minutes anymore.
Oh, really?
It's like,
yeah, because the light has to. Okay,
yeah,
well,
think of
think of like
I'm getting my ass kicked over here.
You just better hope that you were drinking for the 8 minutes before
exactly.
that.
Enjoy
the 8
minutes.
Get to it.
Yeah, straight up.
So basically, in Poltergeist, when they say "come to the light, Carol Ann," Patrick, you can understand where to go. You can
if the light had to be really fucking bright.
Welcome.
There's only been a few nights I've been called Carol Ann, and
first of all, you're like, I am not Carol Ann.
Yes. I think I had y'all's acid. Yeah, so that's basically my eyes. Basically, is described to my parents as bad film and a camera.
Mm-hmm.
It was, they noticed it when I was like 4 months old, and I wasn't looking at shit, and they're like, "Hey, he's not lifting his head up." I was like, "Could just be because I'm lazy." But then they took me in, and had shit wrong.
Can you see that there's light on in this room?
Yeah, I could tell that. I could vaguely tell the direction is up. I mean, I know it is because that's how light bulbs work.
You don't know where you're going.
It's the opposite direction as the floor.
Yeah.
Which he's been on before.
Every so often.
Hey, I was on the floor this morning.
Well, there you go. See?
Drunkards.
Mr. Functional Vision.
I told you I didn't have any functional vision before. That's been 23 years. Dude.
Oh, that's right.
Okay, so Marcus, tell us about kind of the adjusting process to losing your sight. What did you kind of go through? What did you feel? How did you kind of get on board with, well, you finally had to just take care of stuff? Because you're very independent. I mean, you're married, you have a nice house, you play music everywhere, you work, you go out socially.
You can find the floor in an awful hurry.
You can find the floor.
How long is this podcast again?
Some people will say long enough.
In short, well, I thought that once I was losing my vision, that rather than slowly lose the ability to do the things I love, that I would just quit several things, go in my house, cry for about 6 months, and come out a stronger person after that. It took a year and a half. And so there was a lot of anger and a lot of distrust. I mean, I don't want to get into anything too deep too fast, but having trouble believing things that I thought should be a certain way, and somebody who's sighted, for instance, says, no, it's not that way. So that was a rough one. And as far as, saying, well, this is the way it's going to be, when I was living in Boston for the second time is when I started to have cracks in my functional vision where I would screw up and like either run into something or accidentally run into someone and knock them over, or somebody would go, "What's your problem, buddy?" on the street. And
you're like, "Bitch, move. I can't see you."
I happened to have a cane, so I started using it. and I had asked for services from, I forgot what the organization was called in Boston at the time, maybe the Commission for the Blind. I don't remember.
So a DARS type thing.
DARS type thing,
esque,
yeah. But their budget up there in the 90s was not very good. So they were like, well, we could have a volunteer come over and read your mail to you. And that was pretty much all they could offer me because, I wasn't trying to go through school, through them. So I just kind of had to go through that myself until I could get myself moved down to Texas. And there was a day that I remember where I was like, I just have to go to Texas. I just can't stay here. The city is dangerous if you don't know how to handle yourself. That the streets are jammed with asshole drivers. And I ended up going back later in 2003. I called it to pick up the piece of my spirit that I left behind, but I went back up there and had my friend who I was staying with drop me off at the intersection on the edge of my old neighborhood with my cane, and he's like, I need to go to work, man. What do you need me to? And I was like, just leave me here, just go. I went all over the neighborhood as a blind man. But before I left there, I had my cane and I walked around really slow and really nervous and inept and scared. And for about a month, I had to do that before I had my stuff picked up and came down here. And was using my cane as well down here. And I think it was maybe a week after I'd moved here, I'd walked down to the 7-Eleven. It was like a 4 or 5 block walk. And halfway on the way home, stepped into a ditch and my cane snapped in half.
Oh,
just
no.
in half. Snap. I'm like, oh. So I just had to walk really, really slow to get home.
Wow.
I mean, these, and now I've even forgotten the actual question that you asked me, and I've probably digressed, but these stories could last a long time.
Well, it's a good one, though. It's really informative because you're in a city that you don't even know very well, and people are not very kind or helpful.
Well, I knew Boston pretty well.
Okay, so
I just didn't know how to navigate it as a blind
person. That's right, because you came back to Boston. Okay.
Right, because I went to Boston the first time as a sighted person, went to school for a couple of years, then went on the road, played with this band, then went back to Boston to finish school because I was sick of starving. And about a year into it is when my vision started to crap out. And that's when I was, I'd go fly back and forth from Texas to Boston and go to the eye doctor and would hope, that it's going to be all right. They're going to figure out what's wrong, and they're going to stop this vision loss or reverse it or whatever. This is what I'm thinking in my head. And then there was the one day in August, I believe it was, that I wake up in my apartment in Boston and just can't see nothing. This super dark hunter green nothing. And as I, got up and, I learned skills from the blind because I went to the school for the blind. So I kind of knew not to just whack my head into everything, but, start making my cereal and eating it, and my vision starts to kind of come back, but it's all jacked up looking like I'm staring through a glass of ginger ale. And I was like, man, I have to go to the eye doctor now. So I went to the retina people in Boston and said, I'm losing my vision. This is what's going on. I woke up blind this morning. And they're like, ooh. And they got me in and they examined me and they're like, we don't know what's wrong with you. Your eyes are messed up anyway. So then I had to go to Texas to my retina specialist who'd seen me since I was a little kid.
Always great when the doctors go, dude, I don't even fucking know.
Yeah,
this is crazy shit. And you have fucked up eyes, man.
And they had new equipment. These were Boston guys. So then I go to the country Louisiana guy, and he looks in my eye and goes, you are going to lose your vision. You're probably going to be blind by Christmas. You'll probably lose your eye altogether, and you need to be on the operating table in 24 hours.
And grab some gumbo on your way out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so that's when I was down here visiting for just such an appointment.
So not only do your eyes blow, but they're gonna die anyway,
You're-
and you still got to be fucking operated on. That's
you're
got to
gonna
be
lose
insane.
them. Yeah,
Yeah, you're still gonna
So-
lose them, and they still got to be surgically operated on. That's insane.
And then so I was down here, and I'm like, well, I've got a semester of college to go to, and it starts in a week and a half. And he's like, you can't fly. You have to be in surgery, but you can't be on an airplane. And I'm like, And, my girlfriend at the time was like, well, you can just stay with me. Everything will be okay. We had a long distance relationship going, but I was visiting her. She's like, everything will be fine. And so I stayed with her and put that poor woman through so much shit, just dealing with me and all the baggage and crap.
You were angry and hurt.
Yeah,
and
Yeah.
upset,
the anger and the distrust and the hurt from losing the vision. And she dealt with more than she should have. But, we stayed together and ended up getting married. And, it was the first part of my present Austin existence, so.
That's great.
It's kind of intense.
Oh yeah,
I would imagine.
But look at you now. It's like like I said, you're doing great for yourself. You've got a lovely wife named Shannon. Lovely
Yes.
Shannon. She's wonderful.
She's a Louisiana woman.
There you go.
So
That explains the pork chops.
Yeah.
Pork chops, bacon, eggs, potatoes, mushrooms stuffed with spinach and cheese.
Yeah, nobody likes you, dude. Come on.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Anyway,
It's just she's totally making up for the insanity with it, right? With the bacon and pork chops and no, I
with all due respect, different woman.
oh.
well, how have you found? Let's talk about that. Being married for a minute. What kind of things do you guys encounter as struggles? How has she learned to accept you and to deal with you and to help you?
She helps me a great deal. She gave me a ride over here, but I also bugged the shit out of her, and sometimes she'll be like, I'll say, hey, can you help me with this? And she'll be like trying to get her lazy on or something, and she'll be like,
Yeah.
And then I'll get kind of mad because, I feel bad that I have bothered her. I'm like, but my immature reaction would be, okay, sorry I bothered you, but my take you for granted reaction would be, well, could you please do it anyway? But I'm trying to find somewhere in the middle of those two.
Mm-hmm.
But she does a whole lot for me to help me out, but then I always try to do as much myself as I can, and I really try to not expect her to be my eyes, because that's not her job.
Yeah.
Because that would go along with when you had your sight and you lost it. That would be kind of falling back into that being needed.
Mhm.
You need somebody when
Yeah.
really the best way for you to get out of it is to take charge for yourself because you had to do that.
Well, and this is then I can explain the arc of the story a little bit. So my first wife, the one that was with me when I lost my vision, when her and I split up, it was about 7 years after I had lost my vision. And all of a sudden, being by myself, I realized there's some stuff that I still didn't confront and that I still didn't get over. And this kind of sucks, and I'd been dealing with it for 7 years and thought I was pretty happy. And, for example, dating, I was like, I'm dating. I'm a blind guy now. And if I was in a club or something and a chick is winking at me, I'm not going to see her. And I actually had people tell me that since I could see for so long and I have the mannerisms of people that can see, people don't know that I'm blind. So people would wave at me or, wink at me or whatever. And when I wouldn't respond to them, they'd be like, man, I thought you were an asshole. I literally had lots of people tell me that. They're like, but then I realized that you were blind. And I was like, oh. And I was like, so what? Oh, is that like sympathy or understanding?
Yeah.
But that's the first thing. It's like, okay, how am I going to date as a blind person? But then the short version of that is being by myself for a few years. that's when I finally got my systems together and was able to figure things out in terms of this is how I run my house, where I know where everything is, and this is how I figured life out. And then Shannon is with me, and we live on top of that, because she's got a way that she likes to do things, and I have a way that I like to do things. And to blend those two things is a different blend than two-sided people. It's not just as simple as like, hey, leave the mail on the table next to the door and I'll go through it when I get home.
Can't just do that.
It's
Yeah.
more like, hey, can we put all the mail in this basket and can you be the mail person?
Uh-huh.
Because I don't want her to be my eyes. Like, and some of these things I find myself doing occasionally anyway when I'm in a hurry. But I'm like, I don't want to be like, every time I want to wear something, what shirt is this?
Yeah.
Or, what does this say? Or which beer is this? So, and I do those things sometimes if I'm in a hurry and I don't have time to get my color
Oh, of
identifier
course.
out. I'm
Makes
like, hey,
sense.
But you respect her as a person.
I
who
try my best.
cooks
Yes.
pork chops and eggs in the morning.
Right.
Um,
Well, and sometimes I cook too, but
Yeah,
she's
yeah.
just a better cook than I am.
But I mean, you realize that, obviously, because that's one thing where, unfortunately, some disabled people, just in general, do get into that trap where, they make the other person kind of do all their stuff for them. And it's kind of like, why did you just hook up for them? Because I mean, there's an app that does that now. Okay, that kind of tells colors. That is that what you're using this person for? And it makes me fucking furious
And
when I run into that relationship.
I know some blind folks that have literally told me that they do that.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to be like all the time, like, hey, can you go upstairs and get my Panthers jersey?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The damn thing has a raised number 1 on it. I can tell.
You can find
what
it.
is.
There you go.
Yeah. But if I'm in a hurry, I might be like, baby, could you please pick out my pink dress shirt because it's on a rack with a pink one, a green one, a purple one, a red one, an orange one, a black one, a couple of white ones,
Isn't there a song about the colors? Little
Yeah.
boxes. That's never mind.
But I try to, the point is I try to pick and choose what I ask her to do for me.
Mhm. That's
And
great.
I try to do things for her when I can.
I mean, I've seen you guys interact together. I went to a party you guys had for the Super Bowl game, and I saw how like you were doing a lot of cooking on your own. Shannon was running errands, and she came back and helped you, but you helped each other. And she was like, "I need this done," and you would do it, or you'd say, "What's up with this part? Let me help you with this." You guys are very good with kind of having a nice dialogue as far as what needs to get done. So I've always been very impressed by that, for sure.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's she's good. She has her shit together. But when we are both scatterbrained, that can get a little difficult.
Mm-hmm.
And then, sometimes she's scatterbrained, but I might have a plan. And then I'll be like, okay, let's do it like this. Let's do it like that. And she's a little bit cantankerous. So if it doesn't make sense to her at first, she'll be like, why the fuck are we doing that?
Just like that too, because I know she'd say that.
Yes, she would.
I know her too well.
No, that's basically the shortest way that I can put it is I have to work extra hard not to take her for granted. And not that I'm not guilty from time to time, but I have to work at it.
It happens.
Because that would be really easy to do, to take a sighted person for granted when they're around, especially if you've been sighted and you know how easy it is to do things with your vision.
I mean, I can say I have some sight. I was born totally blind. I had cornea transplants when I was about 1 year old.
Dude, you have dead people's corneas?
Dead people's corneas.
I have a dead person.
I see dead
Oh, yeah.
people's
I
eyes.
think the last person I got, I think it was an 8-year-old girl, her cornea.
I don't know anything about my cornea donor, but I do have a dead person's cornea.
It's really weird. I mean, I was always like, dang, like that's really cool. That that I got that opportunity.
Mhm. After 10 years, they become your corneas.
Yeah, that is mine now. Shoot.
Yeah.
There's a movie. I don't know the name of it, but it was a movie about, I think, this chick who got cornea transplants, and then she starts seeing like the murders that the dude committed.
Oh,
it
It came out
yeah.
10 years ago or something, I think, is when it came out.
I never saw it. I just heard about it.
Yeah,
I
I don't remember the
I
name.
never saw
I can't
it.
recall
That's a
either.
fun.
But I was going to say that I do a lot for myself as well. I mean, because I've always learned how to just,
Dude, you have fish.
dude, I have fish. I do have fish. I take care of my fish. I got to tell you guys, I used to try to transfer fish to fish tanks a while back, and I would always kill them. I didn't know what I was doing.
That's because you transferred them to the pan instead.
I was hungry. Anyway, no, but I actually did accomplish my first big transfer a few months ago. I did it myself. I did the whole thing. I actually moved the fish and treated the
Picked
water.
up the fish out of one water, dropped it in the other tank.
Well, I had to carry them across the house. Like, if I had to make sure the water was treated, you have to use a lot of their old water to do it. I actually did all that myself, and nobody died. And I was like, dude, this is cool. Like, it was a nice, it's a small victory for some people, but for me, it was kind of nice because being a fish owner that has gone through fish, it was kind of nice to do it myself. I didn't, no help. And that's kind of the thing. It's like being blind or sighted, visually impaired in some kind of way. You kind of use what you have. And I could have called a friend of mine and said, hey, will you help me do this? But no, I was like, I'm going to do it myself. I looked up stuff, how to do it properly, read about it. The internet is your friend.
It is your friend.
And YouTube is your big friend. Oh, my God. I have fixed so many computer things and things in my house.
Oh, washing machines,
Oh,
dude.
yeah. I fixed my washing machine a little bit. Yeah, I actually did that. I did that.
Like Shannon and I went over to our friend's house that had a broken washer, and she's like, help me fix my washer. It's broke. I don't know what to do. And we're like, well, what's it doing? And she said this, this, and this. And like we looked it up, and we're like, I bet you this is what's wrong. And according to this YouTube video, you buy this $20 part. So we like bought the part, went over to her house, and 45 minutes later, she had a new washing machine.
Nice.
$20.
Oh, yeah.
YouTube
That's
is
it.
awesome. Yes,
YouTube is great.
I've learned cooking techniques. I've learned like kettlebell moves. I've learned
What's that?
kettle. It's like a ball. Oh man, you're gonna have to tell me to shut the fuck up about it now. You've opened the door.
You should have told
You've
me.
opened the crypt.
Hold on. Let's come back to it. But let's come back
That's
to that.
a nice way of saying shut up.
Yes, yeah. See,
Because it'll be a while.
Skills.
But let's come back to that. Patrick, I want to know about you now. As far as
Yeah, cool.
You've
Now
been-
I can like pour another beer.
yeah. There you go.
Go ahead.
That's right. Okay, so about me, I use kettlebells.
I will hurt you on this podcast. Travis turned your head. You didn't see
No,
shit.
he doesn't care.
Marcus, you're
He
blind,
probably
you're
wants
good.
to see this shit.
Yeah, I think you
Well,
might.
to tell my story is basically the title is Why Marcus is Awesome and I Fucking Suck.
What?
Yeah, no,
Shut
straight up. No, okay. So I was born with everything I had.
I hate my co-host.
Then I was in Alaska. We moved there. My dad's in the Air Force. Covered
Dude,
that on one of the-
you're awesome because that's one of the states I haven't been to yet.
Okay, yeah, it's fun to be there for like a little while, and then it just kind of goes like, well, you've unless you're super outdoorsy and can manage not to get killed by a moose or bear, it's then it's pretty cool. But it's I had to get out. But so we were up there. We ended up actually flying to Boston, probably to the same hospital you got your eye stuff looked at, because a lot of my family's from back east. Yeah, basically same conclusions. Yeah, we can kind of dink around with stuff and put eye drops in, put electrodes and shit going on, but yeah, we can't fix you. It's probably not their fault. Actually, most likely it wasn't their fault, but it was. So in Alaska, with the school district, I was one of very few blind people in the entire state. We're oil funded. A lot of things are tanking. BP is laying off everybody left and right. All these different things. People are leaving. But a lot of oil going on. So I fucking lucked out. They were sending me devices. Now that it was good and bad because they would send these printers that, Braille printer, stuff like that, cost a buttload of money. But nobody knew how to fucking use any of it. The instruction manuals were just phone books. Phone books
Yeah.
written by technical writers, and there's like 5 of them who can actually pull it off. The rest of them, no, I think they try to go and be as confusing as they possibly fucking can. Just nature of the job. But it's so yeah. I was getting stuff, and I was getting some help. and it was, so it's kind of, almost, guilty where I'm having this lavished on me, but I really still can't fucking use it. And it's just one of those where, yes, I was getting resources and, there was certainly, room for improvement, but, I was definitely, definitely getting more attention than a lot of people in many other states, including yourself, because I was one of very few blind people in a state that was economically doing pretty well. I went to college, majored in music, other sax brother as well.
You play sax?
Yeah, straight up. Yeah.
Jake didn't tell me that.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're talking. So is
He
that
didn't tell
what
me.
copper bells?
Shove it.
That's
That's kettlebell. That's something
kettlebell.
different.
Yeah, straight up. So
Needs more cowbell.
Yeah, I have a fever that can be cured by more
gonna have
kettlebell.
More cowbell.
Yes. Nice.
Well, there's
Do-do-do-do-do.
there's actually a beer. I think it's called. It's something. Black Bayou Brewing. I could be wrong about
Why
that,
is it
but
a
the
black
beer's
thing?
called Black Cowbell.
Okay.
And so it was
Anyway.
at one of our parties, and I said, "Hey, I'm out of beer. I need another beer." And my wife says, "You mean you need more cowbell?"
Nice.
So yeah,
Never liked her. Anyway.
she wants to be on the podcast.
All right, straight up. Yeah.
Oh. Well, I want to do a music section at some point where get a couple blind musicians up here and have
Couple of
their
saxophone players.
Yeah.
well, may as well. I mean,
Let's get a
shit.
sexy bitches on the podcast.
and then
just
have,
going straight up.
then have their
That's gonna be the
significant
shit.
others, kind of talk about their experiences. All so that might happen. We might
Yeah.
be having Shannon on this podcast at some point.
Yeah.
Well, she plays too.
Sweet. What does she play?
Flute.
Nice.
I didn't
Awesome.
know that.
Huh.
That's really cool. She's a
Yeah,
flutist.
she's ridiculous too. She
I think it's flautist.
she kind of taught me how to play flute.
Flautist.
When I'll be practicing for like a musical or something, I'll be in there going, and she'll be like, all of a sudden I'm in my own lab by myself, and I'll hear, "What note is that you're playing? You're playing it wrong. It's a D. How are you fingering that?" And I tell her, and she's, "Put your fucking ring finger down." Oh,
Dude, she owned you.
she
Damn.
does.
Did she beat you?
She.
Have you fallen down some stairs, Marcus? You can tell us. Okay.
Moving on.
Would you like some hot cocoa?
Moving on.
Okay, go on. You
So-
college music.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
And then it came down to Austin because I wanted to be in a town with people in it and a bus system that didn't shut down at 5:30 at night.
From which town?
Well, Moscow, Idaho, and it's a great town. It's just
You
they
said
don't
Moscow at first, and my mind was like, "Oh, Idaho."
He isn't that cool.
No, I've been to Moscow. I've been to Paris. I mean, Idaho and Texas.
Whoa.
Yeah, I've been all around
It sucks.
all around the world,
You both suck.
from Dallas to Fort Worth, to quote the Futurama lawyer. But yeah, it was.
I think I'm about to sneeze here in a second.
Yeah, no worries.
I'll lean away from the mic. That's cool.
Appreciate it. Sure, Travis does more than I do.
Yeah, he doesn't want your nasty blind germs in the mic.
Yeah. There you go. Demons come out.
Just jerk my monitor out.
Yeah. So
Foul.
really, not much more to the. I mean, got projects and stuff going on, but as far as the blindness related stuff, I find myself, hearing a lot of, from people who have lost their sight, and like, yeah, no offense, but I really do think if you are born blind, that you have it a lot easier. I'm like, fuck yeah, I agree with you 100%. You had something, you lost it, had to spend time adjusting, and basically fortifying your character way more than I've ever had to.
I would disagree with you that you
Really?
had it easier, though.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, we could. This could be a whole nother podcast.
Oh, yeah,
in
like-
general,
No,
but-
this is good. Go ahead. This
but-
is good.
Yeah, this is the meat.
That's what this is
now.
about. Yeah.
But of course, I can't speak for somebody that was born blind, but I can say that there's things that I know about the world innately that I can fall back on from when I could see
could see.
that help me being blind.
Like what kind of things?
Spatial stuff primarily.
Mhm.
So like, I know innately, of course, that when you have something burning that the heat goes straight up.
Yeah.
And that's something that you can learn as a blind person. But
It's just more solid if you've seen it.
it's more
firsthand.
solid. The spatial relationship is more solid. Or to realize if you know the fire pit is 10 feet that way and somebody goes, walk around that fire pit because that's where the hot dog table is.
Yeah.
You innately can know how to walk an arc to get to the, I mean, that's a stupid example, but that's,
I understand.
you innately know how to walk a wide circle arc to get to this other table without getting near the fire pit.
The word of the day, people, is innately.
Innately. Absolutely.
Yeah, well, innately is, it's how you know vision. There's no better way to explain it.
It's a pretty good way to explain it.
It's
Yeah.
just innate. But, you know, I would love to discuss this more because if you think that you might have it easier, I think that I have it easier. That this is good, like Jake said.
Go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think, and as far as, I mean, there are some things that I've learned innately. Just be like if I'm walking down a hall and it was just, and the cool, I think the first thing that really kind of unplugged me and made me, you know, just from the stupid matrix and made me realize that, you know, sight was not this big magical force, you know, it was just this, you know, muggle motherfucker. Was I was in
That's called a motherfuggle.
motherfucker nice. Well, I was 16 and taking physics, and I got a D. I'm not fucking
Physics is
smart.
awesome.
But it was so cool. They were just talking about light just being a wave that, yes, it vibrated a lot faster and did a lot cooler shit in a lot of aspects. But it was just, you know, just how it bent. And like, for example, if you're walking down a long hallway, you start...
Sorry. Sorry, go ahead, Patrick.
Okay. All right. You keep laughing. I'll keep talking. No, I'll laugh too. Like, say... For example, if you're at the beginning of a hallway, long hall, and there's in a school, there's a classroom door that's at the very end, it's open, and there's music playing from it. If you hear music on the right and you walk up to it, you'll think the room's on the right, but it's actually on the left because the sound will bounce off the hard wall, which actually, even though it's brick, will reflect sound like a mirror. It just, you know, that's an audio mirror, essentially, as far as, you know, it'll bounce it right back down to you. And things reflect and refract and do all that kinds of things.
Well, now that is something that I had to learn too, though, because as a sighted person, sighted people are fucking lazy. Let me just get that out. They are.
So those reviews, guys.
Well, it's not a.
So
this is going to sound weird. It's not a dig on sighted people. It's the fact that they don't really have to do a lot of stuff.
his next show is that blah, blah, blah. Go hit him there with your car.
that we have to do because
take them out.
So what you just told me, you're listening to music coming down the hallway.
Yeah.
You approach it. It's on your right. You're like, ooh, the room's on the right. You turn, bash your head on the wall on the right, and then you're turning around away from the wall that just bit you. You turn around from the wall that just bit you, and you realize the room is on your left. So you had to do a lot of steps to learn that. A sighted person, they look down the hallway and see it.
They're missing out on that Klingon forehead kind of thing when you slam it into so much fucking shit. There's
they're
just bumps
missing
and
around on
ridges
the 3 steps that you had to go through to figure out where the fucking music was
It's way more
from.
intricate for you because you actually had to build, you know, to develop that stuff and build it. Where it's like
They just look down.
they could just do it. Where
So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but it makes me a lot more of a cantankerous asshole, and I wouldn't trade that for anything.
Well, me either. That's awesome. But yeah,
Travis, you're a lazy sided person.
I can't disagree.
Yeah, please don't stop recording us out of reverse
Oh, I stopped 20 minutes
ableism.
ago. It's okay.
Well, see, if you don't want him to stop recording, just cover his monitor. He won't know what to
do. There you go.
Anyway.
do. So, yeah. Anyway, go ahead with your.
Well, just a few things like for spatial awareness. One thing that helped me taking marching band in college, because it was so cool because they'd have everybody close their eyes at some point and do. We had a good marching band. Some of these dickholes that in some colleges would be like, well, you can play in the stands if you want to. I don't know if we can have you marching around. Your blindness, and you know, I've had friends go through that, and I just went, if my fucking dumbass can figure it out, they had zero problem. So, just one of those things where, I had a guy next to me kind of marching the steps and making sure what was going on, that I was following the right way. But if I fucked up, I'm going to get brass instruments and orifices I didn't know I had. So that was incentive. And therefore, I learned some spatial awareness like a motherfucker because that's how it's done. Trial by fire.
Dude, that's awesome.
Or by bludgeoning.
That's very true. That's a good call.
Yeah.
That's very cool because I could see when I was in high school and they didn't make me march, and I was like, okay.
That's right.
Because I didn't want to get up at 7 and walk around.
Well, it's the power of no. Take the worst task you ever want to do. Somebody's like, I don't believe you can, and that's, I don't believe, you are not capable of cleaning the dog shit out of my yard. And I'm like, oh, I'll show you. 10 minutes later, I'm like, why am I doing this?
Right.
I'm doing it for free just to prove a fucking point. Yeah.
Right.
Anyway,
Well-
that's how I work.
Well, what about even like stuff like, okay, so let's talk about street crossings. So, Marcus, your vision was waning at some point. Maybe you had to cross the street.
He's going to laugh at me about a couple of weeks ago.
I might be.
I want to
doing
hear
this,
it. I'd like to laugh at you as well.
Okay, but I want to hear your opinions on this too, both of you, because this is going to be kind of because Patrick, I see Patrick cross streets all the time, and I'm like, I get scared for him, and I'm somewhat sighted.
Today is a good day to die.
Yeah, but even I get scared. I'm like, shit, I should help him. Crap. Oh, but then he's got it. He's made it across the street. He's dodged all the barriers. The cars haven't hit him. So
Damn it! There goes my spot on the evening news.
I know. I'm
Son of a
like, dude, the car went. Anyway,
Damn.
it was a Chevy,
Yeah.
a big Chevy.
Because of the emblem stamped on Patrick's forehead.
Yeah. Well, see, I wouldn't get to spend my life insurance, so I have a vested interest. But yeah, no, it's both of the times I've been hit by a car in my life, I've had something to do with it, and I think that really erased the fear.
Tell us
about
about the funniest time when you were reading a book.
Oh yes, Jason Zinnemann's Shock Value. We were talking. It was about 70s and 80s horror movies. Get that?
You were reading a book and
Well,
got hit by a car?
I had an earbud in
Audio.
one ear, and it was I'd done some overtime.
First of all, dumbass.
Holy crap! You're
When you cross
a doofus.
When you cross, okay,
You just learned.
okay. That's awesome. I
Well,
always,
you are a saxophone player, so
I always have my headphones on. I'm always having music on when I'm crossing the street. But even, when I'm walking around, but when I cross the street, I pause that shit and I cross the street.
It wasn't loud.
No, Patrick.
But I was reading about Land of the Dead, all the stuff that Romero did, all about how the movie actually was a
And
lot
he's
more
dead
political.
now. Notice that he's dead too.
Yeah, but he took a while, and he did some more, and he actually had a fucking career. So yeah, pay attention to him.
R.I.P. George Romero. We love you.
Yeah, it's straight up. Yeah. Sorry, Jake. Sorry. Go get him with a zombie.
Why am I sorry? What did I do?
Come back from the dead, a la your movies. and just
my cake, Bedelia.
so you got hit by a car because you were reading a book.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was half on. He was moving slow. I caught the bumper, like the middle of the bumper, in my knee. It was very low to the ground car. So I mean, a lot of it was. I mean, he wasn't exactly the best driver in the
Did you
city
get
of
hurt?
Austin.
You weren't the best walker
Actually,
either.
I wasn't. I mean, my leg hurt for like a couple days, but it was no big deal.
Okay.
But he was scared shitless. Oh my God, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, okay, we both fucked up. Let's just be more careful. Okay, thank you, sir. I'm like, okay, yeah, okay,
Really?
yeah.
Wow.
It was just one of those. It's just like I had enough to do
I gotta
with
go.
it. Yeah, I had enough to do with it to where it was like I just really couldn't do anything. But yeah, and then the other time I was trying to jump behind a car because it wasn't moving, and then that's when it picked the time to back up, and it was dark, and I didn't have my cane out, and there may or may not have been beer involved on my part. So that was
Get your hands off me, Jake.
yeah. So I mean, it was a couple of things, It was just but the thing is, because I was a dickhead and had enough to do with these things, I'm like, okay, I think I can kind of tangle, and so the thing that's going to kill me.
Going to tangle.
Yeah. So if anything's going to kill me, it's going to be moving pretty fast and would have taken out probably a sighted person if I were, me as if I were.
Who are you people?
So street crossing.
We're
Yeah.
the
So
A-team,
what
damn
about
it.
your How did you? Thank you, Marcus. We're getting it back on track.
I'm trying.
So yeah. So Patrick, when you kind of realized you had to cross the street by yourself the first time, or did you get mobility lessons? Or when did
I
you kind of
did.
first-
I got mobility lessons, and I did get the rundown of, hey, when the cars are moving beside you, then you go. When the
parallel
cars-
traffic.
Yeah,
Yes.
when the cars are going in front of you, don't.
Mhm.
It hurts.
Yeah, so there's parallel and perpendicular traffic. So parallel, yes, like you said, they're going beside you, people. Not,
Yes.
parallels beside you.
Yes.
Um,
Do not go with perpendicular. Do not put the dick in perpendicular.
Right.
Make sure that people don't have to slam on the brakes.
or they're coming toward you if you're going, a different other direction. But yes.
Yeah.
Perpendicular.
And don't cross two streets at once like I do on accident.
He's
Diagonal.
A few times, yeah.
I saw him do that once. It was kind of scary.
In Hawaii, that's like cool. Everybody does that. They have
Aloha, that's where I'm fucking going.
They have this thing where both red lights happen at once. So there's a light cycle instead of, and I don't mean the Tron light cycle. Instead of one road going and then it stopping and the other one going, one will go, the other one will go, and then they'll both stop. And the intersection just fills with people and they just like walk diagonal or wherever they want to go. And then it starts again.
Sweet.
It's super cool.
So
we should have that here. It's not like traffic can get any fucking slower here.
I know it.
I mean, you could like outwalk cars. I mean, I do it all the time. I'm like,
That's why I'm not afraid, because the car's going like 0.8 miles an hour because it's this fucking
I mean, the Fiat that I'm walking beside is like, we're going like, side by side.
Mm-hmm.
And the Prius, I can't hear it behind me, but I'm sure it's there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyway. Marcus, what about you?
Like I told you, when I was in middle school, I could see, but since I was at the school for the blind, I was made to take mobility. Well, I had to take mobility if I wanted to get a full card and be able to go off campus.
Mm-hmm.
So I took mobility. And it was cool because when I ended up losing my vision, my brain opened up this dusty trunk of like blind skills. And I was like, oh, so I actually didn't really have to take mobility and all that. I just had to re-tap into that, and it was cool because I did it at my own pace. But I was told by a friend of mine, another saxophone player who was born blind. One of the reasons I moved back to Austin was because my girlfriend was here, because I knew the town, because I'm from Texas. Also, I knew that I would have a support network.
Mm-hmm.
I knew there was people, I knew tons of blind people of every variety, and that there was people that would be able to give me advice. So one of these times I called my friend Robert and I said, hey man, what's the deal? How can you, he's one of the best mobility people that I know. And I was like, how can you be so good at this? And he was telling me things like, he says, man, when you walk down the street, you can hear doors. And I said, you mean when a door opens? And he said, no. He said, you can hear where the door is. And I was like, huh? And usually doors are recessed by, even an inch. You can hear it. Mm-hmm. And he says, you'll know, go and walk, because I lived downtown at the time. He said, go and walk down the streets downtown. The sidewalks or the curbs are all going to be level with the buildings. Everything's in squared off lines. So just walk around and you'll figure it out. And about 2 years after I, lost my functional vision, I started to notice dark spots. I think the first one I ever heard was a telephone pole. But it's like you're walking and you hear all the sounds swirling and echoing around you, and all of a sudden there's a dark spot. I was like, what? And I put my cane out, and there's a telephone pole there. And I'm like, ooh, okay, I can hear that.
It's magic. Like even when you have something beside you, like a wall beside you.
But it's exactly like that.
It absorbs the space.
But so then I would walk, downtown, and I'd just be walking down the street, and I'd hear differences or dark spots. And I'd put my cane out and check it out. And it turned out that those were doors. And I was like, that's what he was talking about. And then, so I'd say 2 years, I started to hear those kinds of things. It wasn't until about 8 years after the loss of my vision that my ears just opened up. I could hear things that I never thought possible. I could tell you the denomination of a coin that was dropped on the floor, or even an object that I didn't know, that I didn't know I'd be able to figure out. Like, hey man, somebody just dropped a Zippo on the floor, like a lighter, or you drop a cassette tape, or just, and you're like, wow. And so to get back to the street crossing thing, this was one of the skills that I looked back on, and I remembered parallel traffic. okay. And then I thought that when I was in Boston, you'd always cross the street with a bus. If there was a bus next to you, it was, a blessing because you always cross with the bus.
Mhm.
Because if the bus doesn't have a turn signal, it's going to go straight,
Right.
hopefully.
Mhm.
And there's not going to be a car that's going to run through a bus to run you over.
Yeah.
So walk next to the bus. And then in Austin, I can't see, but I'm like, oh, parallel traffic. Here it starts, and I go. And very, rarely did I have an issue with a car in the turn lane because those crazy turn cuts are what kind of screwed me up.
Yeah.
Like Jake knows, that's what he was going to laugh at me about. But when I went to Southwest Texas State, I had to cross MLK and Red River at 5 p.m. every single afternoon. So that kind of
Oh, to catch the shuttle?
Yeah,
Yeah.
get from the shuttle to the bus stop to go home.
Uh-huh.
That kind of galvanized me against my fear of crossing streets. Now, there's still streets that I don't cross.
Yeah.
At my house, I have to walk 3 blocks south to get to Burnett and Koenig, only to walk back up 3 blocks to get to the stop that I would want to go south. And I don't do that, or because that's 6 blocks extra walking. And I don't just jaywalk across Burnett because that's putting my life in my own hands. So I walk 4 blocks east in residential and catch the 5 instead of the 3. So there's a way to do things like that.
Yeah, I-35 jacks me up. I'm a little.
Certain parts.
You don't
yeah.
cross 35.
I crossed 35 downtown. I know how to cross it
Yeah,
downtown.
if it was downtown, yeah, like no, obviously.
You mean the actual freeway?
Oh, it's easy downtown.
Don't do that, dude.
No,
There's so many people that get squashed flat doing that.
No, it's pretty easy down there. It's actually pretty straightforward because half the town is walking with you anyway.
Yeah.
We'll do it sometime. I'll show you.
Yeah, no, I want to be along on this as well because
If Shannon hears this, I'm gonna get my ass kicked.
She's gonna hear it. So
even
yeah.
before I've done it, she's gonna be like, "You're not crossing 35."
It's like you thought about it. Yeah.
Well, there are 2 more things that I want to touch on real quick. So you mentioned that your ears opened up as well, and one of the big misconceptions that people have is that our senses are heightened.
Okay, yeah, that's the questions. You have the questions that people ask you, and in the 99.9th percentile is, don't your senses get better if you lose one?
It's not
No,
true.
you train them.
You just
train them.
You just pay more attention.
You pay more attention.
We're all hearing the same shit pretty much.
Yes.
We have the same ear
I mean,
condition,
my ears are actually worse than you guys probably, but yes, you just train yourself. You get used to hearing.
We're not
things.
superheroes. They're not heightened. It's just that
No.
if you have one sense if you have one thing that's diminished, you're able to distribute more information to the other senses.
Yeah.
That
Well,
allow
and-
them
and just
to,
the brain mapping.
You're
increases,
actually,
you know.
the brain mapping. You're
The brain
actually to
mapping.
devote more
Yeah.
brain power to that one. sense.
exactly. You can
So
distribute
it's
it like
kind of
so.
like if you're sitting there listening to something through a door, but you're typing on your computer, you're not going to hear nothing. But if you walk over to the door and put your ear to the door, you can hear what's going on the other side.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like you're able to do that now. Now that you don't have to worry about things that are coming in through your eyes, you can be doing something else and have your ear to the door because you donate extra time to your ears.
And just as a demo of the dark spots, everybody close your eyes. Take your
That was a dark spot.
okay, there you go. Yeah, that was super dark. Take your hand,
I'm
put
a
it
dark spot.
near your ear, not on it, but near it, and just kind of slowly move it a few inches back and forth, and then, maybe a foot.
Jake's
Back
over
and
there
forth.
moving his hand a
Yeah.
few inches back and forth.
Yeah, just and then you'll hear that there's a
Shit,
change in what you can hear, especially if you're around something noisy. You're gonna hear that, and
Like
that's
Patrick.
that's how we take out Wilson Fisk. So gonna do that. Go for it. Cool. Well, just really quick before we go. So use these 8 seconds.
Well,
go.
oh,
Go.
I mean, keep going for a minute.
Well, I was just saying, Marcus, you've just, seriously, you impressed me with the amount of just retooling you've had to do with your eyesight going and having been told some, just horrendous news and having to adapt to it and spending a year and a half just kind of, getting with yourself and getting going on, just pulling yourself together, revamping, rebuilding. What advice do you have for somebody who is in your position? What any tips and tricks that you yourself just would tell somebody?
Don't give up and make a game out of it. I mean, I've seen people that have committed suicide over losing their vision, and it's terrible.
Yeah.
You know, suicide awareness is a real thing, you know, for that. But you can also, if you can learn to see not being able to do something as an interesting new way to look at it, then that'll get you through. Like some people are like, ooh, it would be really cool if I could fly, and then they can fly and they're like, oh, this is great, you know. But if somebody's like, oh, well, I can't see anymore, this fucking sucks. And then you're like, wait a minute, I can't see, so I need to find a different way to do that. So I need to crack the puzzle. And if you can get in touch with that, that obstinate desire to do it anyway, to give a big fuck off to whatever the circumstances are that put you in that situation, that'll get you through. That'll do it for you. And then once you do that, you know, you said, you know, you're impressed with me, and I really appreciate that. I don't want to take anything away from that, but it's not really necessary. But what really, the impressed with me that really makes me happy is when I take like a little stuffed teddy bear and I'm in a room full of my bandmates, and Akina, this lady that I play with, she hassles me about my vision sometimes, and I hassle her about, you know, her giant afro, and you know, we love each other. She's great. But one day I took a teddy bear, cat toy kind of thing, and threw it across the room and hit her with it in the middle of a room full of people.
Nice.
And she still tells that story today. She's like, this blind motherfucker hit me with an animal. And and here's another one.
Teddy Ruxpin.
No, dude, a Teddy Ruxpin would knock you the fuck out. It's got like,
especially if the tape was still playing.
the
How insulting would that be?
cassette player and stuff. But we go to these barbecue places and we'll eat, and Akina will order a hamburger, but then want to go around and sample stuff out of everybody's plate. You know, and I'm like, you better stay away from my ribs or I'm going to shank you with my fork. And she's like, oh, yeah, whatever, you know. And you can hear these dark spots, you know. You can hear somebody reaching towards your plate.
Yeah, it's true.
She reached toward my plate, and I stabbed her with my fork.
Yeah.
And that's the last time she's messed with my food.
See, bitches, we are on to you.
That's right.
We know what you're doing.
Ribs knows no boundaries.
Yeah, you don't fuck with our food.
Yeah.
That's right.
Anyway, that's cool. So I guess you guys, we are about out of time. So thank you very much for tuning in and listening. And this is Marcus Cardwell as our guest, and we'll post a link to where you can find his information and whatnot.
Okay. And just because it was mentioned, if you are going through vision loss, you are suicidal, please get help. The number for the National Suicide Hotline is 1-800-273-8255. That's 1-800-273-TALK. Obviously, as Marcus has said, it's not fucking worth it, and you can just kick this thing's ass and throw stuffed animals at people.
And
nail them.
And we will always answer the phone if you call us there.
Absolutely. Yes.
Anyway, so please, as usual, stay tuned and give us feedback and reviews, and take care.
See you later.
Content pending.